Woman defended the black janitor no one respected, unaware he was a billionaire, looking for a wife, *Estera. Bennett stood in the lobby of Sterling Innovations, one of the most prestigious tech companies in Silicon Valley. She was 34 years old, with auburn hair pulled into a professional bun, wearing a gray business suit that she had saved 3 months to buy. Today was her first day as the new HR director, and she was determined to make a good impression. The lobby was all glass and marble, filled with young executives in expensive clothes, carrying expensive coffee. Everything gleamed. Everything spoke of success and money. That is when she noticed him. A black man in his late 30s stood near the elevators, wearing navy blue work clothes and holding a mop. He was cleaning up a spill on the pristine marble floor, while people rushed past him as if he were invisible. Not one person said, "Excuse me." Not one person acknowledged his presence. Sarah watched as a man in an expensive suit nearly knocked the mop bucket over without even glancing down. The janitor steadied it quietly and kept working. Then Sarah saw something that made her blood boil. A corporate executive in his early 40s with perfectly styled hair and a navy vest was walking toward the elevators. He was on his phone, not watching where he was going. He walked directly through the area the janitor had just cleaned, tracking dirty footprints across the wet floor. The janitor, whose name tag read Marcus, politely said, "Excuse me, sir, the floor is still wet." "Could you please get out of my way?" the executive snapped, not even looking at Marcus. "I have an important meeting. Go clean somewhere else." Marcus stepped back, his face carefully neutral. Sarah recognized that expression. It was the look of someone who had learned to swallow dignity to keep a paycheck. The executive turned to the crowd of employees gathering near the elevators and said loudly, "Can someone get this janitor out of here? He is blocking the executive elevator." "He's not blocking anything," Sarah said, her voice cutting through the lobby. Every head turned to look at her. "He is doing his job. A job that deserves respect." The executive looked at her like she had grown a second head. "Who are you?" "Sarah Bennett, the new HR director, and you are." "I am Craig Morrison, VP of Operations," he said, his tone suggesting she should be impressed. "And I do not have time for this. Someone remove this janitor from the executive area." "No," Sarah said firmly. She walked over to stand next to Marcus. "This man is cleaning a spill so that people like you do not slip and fall. He is making this building safe and presentable. That is valuable work. And you are going to apologize to him for being rude." The lobby went silent. Nobody spoke to executives like this, especially not on their first day. Craig's face turned red. "Apologize? To the janitor? Do you know who I am? Do you know how much money I make for this company?" "I know you are someone who thinks money makes you better than other people," Sarah said calmly. "I know you are someone who cannot see the value in honest work. And I know you are about to either apologize or explain to the CEO why the new HR director quit on her first day because of your behavior." Craig looked around, clearly expecting support from the other employees. But everyone was watching silently. Some looked uncomfortable. Some looked curious. But no one defended him. "This is ridiculous," Craig muttered. But he glanced at Marcus and added quickly, "Fine. Sorry for the inconvenience." The words were bitter, but they were words. Sarah shook her head. "Not good enough. A real apology. One that acknowledges that you treated him poorly." Craig's jaw clenched. "I apologize for speaking to you rudely. It was inappropriate." He nearly choked on the words, but he said them. Marcus nodded quietly. "Apology accepted, sir." Craig stormed off toward the stairs instead of waiting for the elevator. The crowd slowly dispersed, people whispering to each other as they left. Sarah turned to Marcus. "I am sorry you had to experience that." Marcus looked at her with warm brown eyes that held something she could not quite identify. Intelligence, maybe, or amusement. "Thank you for standing up for me. Most people do not." "Most people should," Sarah said. "My father was a custodian for 30 years. He worked nights cleaning office buildings so my sister and I could go to college. He taught me that every honest job deserves respect. Every person deserves dignity." Something shifted in Marcus's expression. Your father sounds like a wise man. He was, Sarah said softly. He passed away 2 years ago. But I carry his lessons with me every day. Marcus held out his hand. I am Marcus. It is nice to meet someone who sees people instead of just job titles. Sarah shook his hand, noticing his firm grip and the calluses that spoke of hard work. Sarah Bennett. And I meant what I said. What you do matters. Over the following weeks, Sarah saw Marcus often. He worked the day shift, always moving quietly through the building, cleaning, maintaining, making sure everything ran smoothly, and Sarah made it a point to say hello every time she saw him. Other employees started to notice. When the new HR director treated the janitor like a human being, other people began doing the same. Workers started saying good morning to Marcus. They held doors for him. They thanked him when he emptied their trash bins. Sarah and Marcus began having brief conversations. She learned he loved jazz music and old movies. He learned she was trying to transform the company culture to be more inclusive and respectful. They talked about everything from philosophy to their favorite books. Why do you stay? Sarah asked him one day as they both took a coffee break in the employee lounge. If people treat you badly, why not find a different job? Marcus smiled. That same mysterious smile she had noticed before. I am learning a lot here. About people. About what really matters. You learn who someone truly is by how they treat the people they think cannot help them. That is very wise, Sarah said. My grandmother used to say that, Marcus replied. She raised me after my parents died. She cleaned houses for a living. She taught me that work is not who you are. It is just what you do. Who you are is determined by how you treat others. 3 months into her job, Sarah was called into the CEO's office. She had never met the CEO. He was famously private, running the company from behind closed doors, rarely making public appearances. When she entered the executive suite, she nearly fell over. Marcus stood there, but he was not wearing his blue work uniform. He was wearing an expensive suit. His hair was differently styled, and he was standing behind the CEO's desk. Hello, Sarah, he said with that warm smile. I believe we need to have a conversation. Sarah's mind reeled. You are the CEO. But you were cleaning floors. You had a mop. You were testing people, Marcus finished. My name is Marcus Thornton. I founded this company 10 years ago. I became a billionaire before I was 30, and I learned something important. When people know you have money and power, they show you the person they want you to see. But when they think you are nobody, they show you who they really are. Sarah sat down heavily in a chair. So this was all a test? Not all of it, Marcus said gently. I do this every few months. I work as custodial staff for a while. I watch how executives treat the people they think are beneath them. I learn which employees have genuine character and which ones are just skilled at office politics. Sarah asked. I learned that Craig Morrison is a bully who needs to be removed from leadership. He has been on my watch list for a while, but your confrontation with him confirmed what I suspected. He was fired last week. You fired your VP of operations? I fired someone who treated other human beings with contempt, Marcus corrected. His position is being offered to someone who leads with integrity instead of arrogance. And what about me? Sarah asked. Was I part of this test? Marcus walked around the desk and sat in the chair next to her. Sarah, you were not part of any test. You were the answer. I have been looking for someone who sees people the way you do. Someone who values character over status. Someone who stands up for what is right, even when it costs them something. I do not understand. I am tired of being alone, Marcus said quietly. I am tired of wondering if people like me for who I am or for what I have. Every woman I have dated has been dazzled by the money and the power. Nobody sees Marcus. They only see the billionaire CEO. But I saw you, Sarah said slowly, understanding dawning. I saw you when I thought you were a janitor. You saw me when it would have cost you your new job to defend me, Marcus said. You saw me when I could give you nothing in return. You saw me when I was just a man with a mop. That is the person I have been looking for. Someone who treats people with kindness not because of what they can get, but because it is right. Sarah felt tears burning behind her eyes. Your grandmother would be proud of you. I hope so, Marcus said. And I hope your father would be proud of you too. You honor his memory every day. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. So what happens now? Sarah asked. Now I ask if you would like to have dinner with me, Marcus said. Not because you are my employee, and not because I am your boss, but because I am a man who met a woman who reminded him that good people still exist in the world. Sarah smiled. I would like that very much. 2 years later, they were married in a small ceremony. Sarah wore a simple dress. Marcus wore a suit that cost less than some people spend on a used car. The decorations were modest, but the joy was immeasurable. At the reception, Marcus stood to give a toast. My grandmother told me once that you should marry someone who treats the waitress with the same respect they treat the CEO. I found better than that. I found someone who treated the janitor with more respect than anyone treated the CEO. I found someone who saw a person instead of a position. I found Sarah. Sarah stood and took the microphone. And I found a man who taught me that testing for character is not manipulation, is wisdom. A man who understands that true wealth is not measured in dollars, but in how you treat the people who cannot repay you. I found Marcus. They learned something profound in that marble lobby. Character is not what you show the people who can help you. Character is what you show the people you think cannot help you. Sometimes the person holding the mop is testing to see if you are worthy of holding their heart. If this story touched you and reminded you to treat every person with dignity, regardless of their position, please like, share, and subscribe. Comment below about someone who showed you unexpected kindness, or a time when you learned that appearances can be deceiving. Thank you for listening.